Immigration told me, "You step aside for now." What happened to my friends after that shocked me. The moment the immigration officer said, "You step aside for now," my stomach dropped. I remember thinking, why me? I was standing at the very end of our little group, passport already warm in my hands, when I realized something was seriously wrong. This was supposed to be a simple friends trip. Nothing dramatic, nothing risky. Just a few days out of the country, a break from work, from routines, from being stuck in the same place every day. Instead, it became the day I learned how quickly people disappear when responsibility shows up. A few months earlier, one of my friends suggested we travel abroad together. Just a short trip. Thailand. Beaches, food, night markets. Something affordable, something fun. There were 6 of us in total. At first, I hesitated. I'm not the type who jumps into trips without planning. I ask questions. I think ahead. I worry about details other people brush off, but everyone sounded so confident. "We've got it handled," one of them said. "It's cheap anyway," another added. "We'll just split everything later." That should have been my first warning, but I ignored it. One friend, let's call her Anna, volunteered to book the plane tickets. She said it was easier if one person handled it. We all agreed to pay her back before the trip. Simple enough. A few days before our departure, Anna messaged the group chat. "Guys, just make sure you pay before we leave. Immigration might ask." Everyone replied with thumbs up emojis, and yes, of course. I paid my share that same day. I assumed everyone else did too. The night before our flight, I noticed the group chat was unusually quiet. No excitement, no last-minute outfit discussions, no "see you tomorrow." I messaged the group. "All set for tomorrow?" Anna replied hours later. "Yep." Just that, no details. I felt a small knot in my chest, but brushed it off. I told myself I was overthinking again. I always do that, right? We met at the airport early in the morning. Everyone looked tired but excited. Coffee in hand, passports out, jokes about duty-free shopping. I noticed something, though. 2 of our friends kept whispering to Anna, quiet, tense conversations. They avoided eye contact when I looked their way. I asked casually, "Everything okay?" Anna smiled too quickly. Yeah, don't worry." I didn't push. At immigration, an officer approached us and said they needed to speak with us for safety reasons. They asked us to line up. Anna went first. The officer asked questions: where we were going, how long we'd stay, who paid for the tickets. Anna answered confidently. Then the officer asked, "Who paid for your ticket?" There was a pause. Anna said, "I did." The officer nodded and asked, "And the others?" Anna pointed to each of us one by one. "They'll pay me later." I felt my stomach twist. The officer's expression changed, not dramatic, not angry, just firm. He asked Anna to step aside. Then he spoke to the others. One by one, my friends were pulled aside. Their conversations grew longer, their voices quieter. I was standing there, heart pounding, telling myself, "It's fine. I paid. I have proof. I'm okay." Then the officer called my name. "You," he said, "please wait here." I was last. When it was my turn, the officer asked me the same questions. "Who paid for your ticket?" "I did," I said immediately. I showed him the transaction on my phone, the date, the amount, everything. He studied it carefully. Then he looked at me and said, "Please wait." I watched as the officer spoke with the others again. I watched my friends' faces change from confident to nervous to scared. Then the officer made a decision. 4 of my friends were pulled aside. They were informed they would not be allowed to leave the country. The reason? They hadn't paid for their plane tickets. They had planned to pay later. Some of them didn't even have enough money in their accounts. Immigration considered it a red flag. I stood there, stunned. One of them tried to argue. Another started crying. Someone looked at Anna like it was all her fault. Anna looked exhausted, pale. No one looked at me. Not one of them asked, "Are you okay?" Not one of them said, "We're sorry." I realized something then, quietly, painfully. They had all assumed someone else would fix. The officer returned my passport. "You're cleared," he said. I blinked. "Just me?" He nodded. "You and one other." Another friend, who had paid in full, was also cleared. The 4 others were officially offloaded. There was silence. I didn't feel relief right away. I felt guilt, confusion, a strange heaviness. Should I go? Should I stay? I looked at my friends. They were already on their phones, calling family, booking flights home, blaming immigration, blaming Anna. No one asked me to stay. That answered my question. Walking toward the boarding gate felt unreal. I kept thinking, this wasn't how it was supposed to go. The friend who stayed with me finally spoke. "Are you okay?" I nodded. "Yeah, just processing." On the plane, I stared out the window as we took off. I didn't cry. I just felt tired. Thailand was beautiful. The food was amazing. The streets were loud and alive. The beaches were calm in a way I hadn't felt in years. But every now and then, something would remind me of the others. A group of friends laughing nearby. A shared meal meant for more people. We still enjoyed ourselves, we really did. But the trip changed how I saw people. Back home, the group chat exploded. Excuses, arguments, blame. Some said immigration was unfair. Some blamed Anna. Some blamed bad luck. No one took responsibility. I stayed quiet. I had learned my lesson. I don't hate them, but I don't trust them the same way anymore. That trip taught me something important. When things go wrong, people show you who they really are. Not in big dramatic ways, but in small moments. In who pays, in who plans, in who disappears when things get uncomfortable. I still travel. I just travel differently now. And I always pay my own way. The trip ended quietly. No big closing moment. No dramatic goodbye scene at the airport. Just me and one friend flying home, scrolling through our phones, pretending not to think about everything that had happened. But the real aftermath didn't start until I landed. The moment I turned my phone off airplane mode, the notifications flooded in. Missed calls, long messages, voice notes I didn't open right away. I stared at the screen for a full minute before unlocking it, already knowing what I'd see. The group chat, which had been silent during our actual trip, was suddenly alive again. Someone had sent a long paragraph blaming immigration, how they were too strict, how other people get away with worse. Another message followed, then another. Anna was quiet. That alone said a lot. One of the offloaded friends wrote, "If we had just stuck together and said the same thing, this wouldn't have happened." That line bothered me more than I expected. Stuck together? By lying? I typed a reply, deleted it, typed again, deleted that too. In the end, I said nothing. For once, I didn't feel the need to explain myself. The private messages came next. One friend messaged me late at night. Must be nice to still enjoy the trip while we were stuck at home. I read it twice. There was no congratulations, no "I'm glad you were okay," just resentment. I replied carefully. "I paid before the trip, that's why I was cleared." The reply came hours later. "Yeah, but still." That was it. No apology, no accountability. Just "but still." I stopped replying after that. A few days later, Anna called me. Her voice sounded tired, not dramatic, just worn down. "I didn't think it would go that far," she said. I sat on my bed, phone pressed to my ear, listening. They kept saying they'd pay. One said next payday. One said they'd transfer at the airport. I didn't want to pressure them. I understood that feeling, I really did. But understanding doesn't erase consequences. "I wish you told me," I said quietly. There was a pause. "I know," she replied. "I'm sorry." That apology mattered more than I expected. A few weeks later, we met again, most of us, for someone's birthday. It was awkward. Not openly hostile, just different. The jokes didn't land the same. Conversations felt careful, surface level. At one point, someone laughed and said, "Well, at least now we know immigration doesn't play around." Everyone laughed. I didn't. I realized then that they still didn't get it. They thought the problem was immigration. Not preparation, not responsibility, not the fact that they were willing to let someone else carry the risk. After that, I slowly pulled back. No big announcement, no confrontation. I stopped replying as quickly. I stopped showing up every time. I stopped offering help automatically. And something interesting happened. No one asked why. Friendships that depend on convenience don't survive boundaries. Before that trip, I used to over-explain myself. I'd say yes even when I was uncomfortable. I'd pay first and hope people paid me back. I'd trust words instead of actions. After that trip, something shifted. Not anger, not bitterness. Just clarity. Now, when someone says, "We'll figure it out later," I ask, "How exactly?" When someone avoids a clear answer, I step back. I don't feel guilty about it anymore. Months later, I posted a photo from Thailand. Nothing flashy. Just food, a street, a sunset. Anna liked it. One of the others didn't. That was enough closure for me, because by then I understood something simple but important. Some people only feel close to you when things are easy. Some people only disappear when responsibility shows up. And some lessons only make sense after you've already paid for them, literally and emotionally. Months passed without anything dramatic happening. No big fallout, no explosive arguments, no public apologies. Just distance. At first, I noticed it in small ways. Fewer messages, invitations that didn't quite reach me anymore, conversations that stayed polite but shallow, like we were all carefully avoiding the same subject without saying it out loud. And honestly, I didn't miss the chaos. That surprised me. I thought I would feel sadder about losing people I traveled with, laughed with, planned things with. But what I mostly felt was lighter. Like I wasn't carrying something that was never really mine to begin with. One afternoon, I ran into an older coworker while getting coffee. We talked about travel, and I mentioned the trip, briefly, casually. She listened, nodded, then said something simple. "People show you how they handle pressure, believe them." That was it. No advice, no judgment. But it landed. Because I realized I had seen the truth back then, I just hadn't wanted to name it. I traveled again a few months later, this time alone. I booked my own ticket, chose my own hotel, planned my days without compromise. And for the first time, I felt fully present. No waiting on anyone, no anxiety about money or plans or fairness, just movement, curiosity, quiet joy. One night, sitting in a small restaurant, I caught myself smiling for no reason. That's when I knew I was okay. I used to think friendship meant loyalty at all costs. Now I think it means shared responsibility. Some friendships are only meant to last until responsibility shows up. I boarded the plane alone, found my seat, and watched the lights outside fade as we took off. For the first time, I didn't feel left behind. I felt free. The end. Thank you for watching. Please hit subscribe and like if you like these video.